You walk to the kitchen. Your cat follows you. You head down the hallway. Your cat is right behind you. You sit down, stand up, move to another room, and without fail, 4 quiet little paws appear on the floor beside yours like they were always meant to be there. So here's the question that almost no one stops to actually ask. Why? Why does your cat trail behind you like a shadow that never sleeps? Why does it feel less like a coincidence and more like a decision? Because here's the thing. It is a decision. Your cat isn't wandering aimlessly. They're not confused about where the food bowl is. And they are definitely not doing this by accident. Your cat is trying to tell you something. Something real. Something most owners spend years completely missing. And by the end of this video, you're going to look at that little shadow behind you in an entirely different way. Stay with me, because one part of this story, toward the end, genuinely surprised me. And I think it might surprise you too. Let's start with something you've probably never been told. Most people assume that when a cat follows them around, it's a food thing. A Pavlovian habit. The cat has simply learned that where you go, meals sometimes appear. And sure, cats are smart enough to make that connection. But if you pay close attention, you'll notice something that doesn't quite fit that theory. Your cat follows you at 2 in the afternoon, hours after eating. They follow you into the bathroom, where there is no food. They follow you back to the bedroom after you've already fed them, and then they simply settle. They curl up nearby. They don't ask for anything. They just exist in the same space as you, like that was the whole point. Because it was. What most owners don't realize is that a cat who follows you quietly and then simply rests near you isn't looking for a meal. They're looking for you. Animal behaviorists call this social solicitation, a cat's gentle, non-demanding way of asking for presence, not food, not play, not attention in the loud, obvious sense, just the quiet company of the person they've chosen. And that word, chosen, matters more than you might think. Something deeper is happening here, and it goes all the way back to how cats are wired from the very beginning of their lives. When a kitten is born, they follow their mother everywhere, every step, every movement. The mother is warmth and food and safety all wrapped into one, and staying close to her is survival. That following behavior gets imprinted early and deeply. It becomes part of how a cat understands love and security at the most fundamental level. Here's where it gets interesting. When a cat is adopted by a human, that imprint doesn't disappear. It shifts. It transfers. In the mind of your cat, you step into a role that their mother once held. Not in a literal sense, but emotionally, instinctually, in the deep wordless way that animals experience the world. You become the source of safety. The constant. The one they orient their life around. So when your adult cat, fully grown, independent, supposedly aloof, still trails behind you from room to room like they did when they were small and learning the world, they're not being silly. They're expressing something ancient. Something that formed in their earliest days and never left. They followed the one they loved then, and they follow the one they love now. That's not habit. That's loyalty. But here's the thing that really changes. The picture when you understand it. Cats are not just emotionally attached to their owners. They are constantly reading them. The whole time your cat is following you, through the hallway, into the kitchen, back to the living room, they are watching you with a precision that most people never notice. Your posture, your breathing, the pace of your footsteps, whether you sigh, whether you move quickly or slowly, whether the energy in the room feels heavy or light. Cats are extraordinarily sensitive to subtle emotional signals. More than almost any other domestic animal, they pick up on the invisible things, the changes in your voice, your scent, the tiny shifts in your body language that you don't even register yourself. And when a cat follows you obsessively during a period when you're stressed, grieving, unwell, or emotionally depleted, that's not coincidence. That's detection. Your body is telling them something is different. Something is off. And a cat who loves you doesn't look away from that. They move toward it. There's a reason people in difficult seasons of life so often say their cat was suddenly closer than ever. Quieter. more present, following them into every room, staying beside them longer than usual. They weren't imagining it. Their cat was responding to something real. Now, there's an instinctual piece of this story that doesn't get talked about enough, and I think it's one of the most fascinating parts. Cats are territorial by nature. Most people know that. But territory for a cat isn't just about physical space, it's about what's inside the space, what's valuable, what's worth protecting. And for a cat who has formed a deep bond with their human, you become the most important feature of their entire world. Not the furniture, not the window perch, not even the food bowl. You. Researchers who study feline social behavior have identified something called companion monitoring, the way bonded cats track the location and movement of those they're attached to. In multi-cat households, cats do this with each other. They stay loosely aware of where their bonded companions are. They check in. They follow. It comes from a place of investment. Your cat has extended that behavior to you. In their mind, keeping track of where you are isn't strange. It's important. You matter enough to monitor. And there's something quietly profound about that when you let it sink in. What most owners don't realize is that when their cat appears in the doorway, watching them, following them from room to room, it's not weird behavior. It's the same attentiveness a cat gives to the things and beings they cannot afford to lose. And this is where it gets interesting. Because the story takes a turn that I didn't see coming the first time I learned about it. We tend to think about this behavior in one direction. Your cat follows you because you make them feel safe. That makes sense. That feels intuitive. But researchers who study animal behavior have documented something that flips the equation around entirely. There are documented cases of cats following their owners relentlessly in the hours or days before a medical event, a seizure, a diabetic episode, a cardiac warning. Cats who had always been somewhat independent suddenly became shadows. They wouldn't leave the person's side. They seemed almost anxious to stay close. And then something happened, something their owner didn't see coming. But apparently, on some level, their cat did. The science behind this is still being explored, but what it suggests is that for a deeply bonded cat, following isn't only about receiving comfort, it might also be about providing it. Your cat may not be trailing behind you just because you make them feel protected. They may, in their own quiet, instinctive way, be watching over you, staying close in case they're needed. Not because they were trained to, not because they were asked, but because something in them, some deep, wordless knowing, understands that you are theirs to look after. Think about that the next time you see them appear in the doorway. Dr. John Bradshaw, one of the world's leading researchers in human-animal relationships and the author of Cat Sense, has written about the fact that cats treat their owners the way they treat other cats they're bonded to, not the way wild cats treat unfamiliar humans. That distinction is everything. Because cats don't follow other cats out of obligation. They don't trail. Behind animals, they merely tolerate. In the social world of a cat, following is intimacy. It's reserved for the ones who have been chosen, the ones who have passed some invisible, unspoken test of trustworthiness and love. And your cat chose you. Not once. Not on the day they arrived at your home and had no other options. But every single morning when they find you. Every afternoon when they appear beside you on the couch. Every evening when they follow you down the hallway and settle at the end of your bed. They choose you over and over again in the only language they have. So here's what I want you to take away from this. We've spent years asking the wrong question about cats. We've wondered whether they really love us, whether they truly care, whether the bond we feel is something they feel too, or whether we're just projecting our own emotions onto a creature that's fundamentally indifferent. But your cat has been answering that question every single day. Not with words, not with dramatic displays of affection, but with something quieter, and in some ways, more honest than either of those things. With their feet. With 4 small paws that follow you to the kitchen at 6 in the morning, that appear outside the bathroom door, that trail behind you down the hallway at night, and then curl up close to you in the dark. That is your cat saying, "You are my person. That is your cat saying, "Where you go, I go." That is your cat saying, in the only way they know how, "I love you," and "I want to be near you, and you are the safest place I know." The next time you feel that presence behind you, those soft, deliberate footsteps following you through your ordinary day, pause for just a moment, look down, and let yourself feel what that actually is. Because it's not just a cat following you around the house. It's a whole heart, walking quietly behind yours. If this story gave you a new way to see your cat, share it with someone who loves theirs the way you love yours. Drop in the comments. Does your cat follow you? And what do you think they're really trying to say? Subscribe if you want to keep exploring the hidden world of your cat's behavior. There's so much more to uncover. And until next time, give that little shadow of yours a moment of your attention. They've been giving you all of theirs.